very early in life, I believe that the Lord was just trying to show me that everybody can't go, no matter how much you want them to go and how you want to pull people into places that they've never been before. Everybody really can't go. And I remember that back in the day, we had this swimming pool in the complex that we lived in, and in order to be able to swim into the deep waters, you had to first pass the test from shallow to deep. Great excitement, I went swimming and I finally passed this test for going from shallow waters to deep waters. And while I was in the deep waters, I looked back in the shallow waters and I saw that there were some of my friends that were back there in the shallow water, and I wanted to allow them to be able to come where I was. And so I saw some of the other kids that passed the test to get into deep, and they went back and they grabbed the kids that were in shallow and they told them to put their hands on their shoulders, and they took kids from shallow into the deep waters. And so I said, well, let me try that. One of my friends was there, and I went and I told him to put his hands on my shoulders, and I went from swimming to 3 feet to treading water and to 5 feet. And the moment we crossed over the threshold, he began to panic and he began to push me down, and I began to drown, and I was fighting and I couldn't get him off of me, but he just literally panicked and his weight was on me and he was pushing me further down from the ground. And finally, God sent an angel to come, and a young man pulled him off of me, and they pulled me out of the water, and they began to pump my chest until I began to cough and come back to life. And I was sitting on the side of the pool and began to get discouraged and began to get disheartened, because all I wanted to do was to take somebody from shallow waters to deep waters. All I wanted to do was to take somebody somewhere they had never been before. And recently God just began to speak to me and say, listen, you wanted to take somebody to a deep level, and you had to pass a test to get there, and you wanted them to skip past the test because you felt sorry because they were still in shallow, but they were in shallow waters for a reason, because they have not had the fortitude, or they did not pass the test to make it and to be able to swim into deep waters. And maybe some of you are like me, that you want to carry people to places that they have not been authorized to go, that they have not bled or sweat or had the tears that you had to cry in order to get where you're going. And your heart wants to pull them to a place that they have not been tested and proven for. Your heart wants to pull them to a place that they have not been tried for. And I know you want them to be your husband, and I know you want them to be your wife, but they have not been tested and proven just yet. And you want to pull them into a place that God has not ordained them to be in. I know you want your baby to be a preacher, and you want your daughter to be evangelist, but maybe God has not laid his hands on them for that. But maybe God has another work for them or something else for them to do. And I was sitting on the side of the pool, and I was discouraged and I was disheartened, and I felt like, forget about it. I don't ever want to swim again, and I don't ever want to help somebody else. And there was a young man, the lifeguard, who was a friend of my mother's, and he said, listen, you got to get back in the water. And I said, I don't want to do it anymore because it hurt too much and the pain was too deep, and I almost lost my life. And he said, you got to get back in the water. And I'm arguing with him, and before I knew it, he picked me up and he threw me in the deep again, and I had to swim my way back out of it. And I got out of the pool, and I began to hit on him, and I said, why did you throw me back in the pool? And he told me, if I would have let you go home, and if I would have let you keep crying, and if I would have let you stay stuck where you were, you would never get back in the water, and you would never swim again, and you would never help anybody else. I'm encouraging you. Maybe you got hurt while helping somebody else. Maybe you got hurt while trying to get somebody else to a place that they never been before. And God is telling you, you can't stay on the sidelines. You got to get back in the deep. You got to keep going. going. You can't give up. You can't be discouraged. You can't throw in the towel. But I'm going to use you to do something that you're scared to do. You're going to swim again. You're going to love again. You're going to believe again. You're going to hope again. You're going to dream again. I want to encourage you today that even though everybody can't go with you, even though you can't pull everybody into the deep, it's okay sometimes to be able to swim by yourself. And maybe in this season, it's not about who you rescue. Maybe in this season, it's not about who you pull up. But maybe in this season, God just want to rescue you. God just want to rescue you. Maybe God just wants to rescue you. God just wants to rescue you. God just wants to rescue you. God wants to rescue you.